Hey, welcome to the latest production line developer blog video. I am Cliff Harris, or Cliffski. I am the programmer and designer of this game that is a car factory simulation game that you randomly come across on YouTube, I'm sure. Okay, so I'm going to roughly go over just like a few little things that have been fixed in build 1.75, which is currently, it's in the unstable beta. On Steam. I'm going to update it later today and then I'm going to push it out soon. I've got a few little fixes that I want to put in. Something that someone has just reported, and I've seen it happen once and now I can't get it to go wrong, is here. If we pick a normal sports car, Sports M, that they were saying that if you set it to open top, see, look, it's open top and yet it's not. It's not drawing it as open top. I mean, it is open top, but why? Why is it happening there? And just a minute ago, there, that's not happening. Is it just when you load it in? Anyway, I want to fix that bug before I push it out. There was another bug up here to do with prices, where you could have negative prices and prices above the maximum that I've just fixed. That's so annoying. I need to work out what could possibly be causing that. This has the DLC in this save game, so we have DLC for crazy doors like this. So I've got a supercar with crazy doors in. So what else have I done? A few tiny little things, like if you have a supply stockpile, that was one that is linked to in this case fit lights. That little pop-up thing, I can point at it, but that won't help, will it? But you see that little point up where it says supply stockpile fit lights. It'll actually show you what it's linked to now without you having to click on it and like look at the title. It's trivial, but I think it's helpful. Yeah, if you go here to the resource importers, you can see that they actually have times on now. One's 15 seconds, one's 12 seconds. So that shows you that, yeah, the Type 2 resource importer is actually quicker, and it shows you by how much. That information was always on here, wherever it is, it's a process, isn't it? So yeah, it shows it's 20% faster than normal, but I think it was helpful also to have it there. Oh yeah, if you go into blueprint mode here, you can expand all of these. It doesn't matter what you've researched, and place down blueprints vastly ahead of where you are in the tech tree. Now, previously you couldn't. It used to be the case that you could only go like one level deeper, and we changed that. There was a few bugs. We've got a new button here to reset advice. You know when you get like pop-up advice like this, and you can say, no, don't tell me about that. That just resets that if you decided that no, you do want to be told about that now. There's a few little bugs that hardly anyone's going to encounter, so I won't sort of bore everyone with them. Blah blah blah, and just a few little kind of like helpful things. One of the big things that changed, that I don't know if I mentioned it last time because I think it's relatively new, is the discount button is gone from here. If you want to look at discounts, we have a whole tab for it now, and they've got little icons, which now I look at, I think look awful. But anyway, constant evolution. And that doesn't scroll. You have to do that manually, do you? That's annoying. I should fix that. Anyway, so yeah, that's version 1.75, which will be going at some point. So there's other things to talk about, obviously, in terms of like where the game goes now and what I put in now. I think generally when you get to the late game, you find yourself a little bit overwhelmed and not kind of able to get a big picture on where things are going well or going wrong. I'm doing incredibly well on this game. Look, I've got huge amounts of money and a stupidly huge factory. One of the things that someone pointed out, and this is a huge complicated thing to fix, but I think I should fix it, well, not fix it, I mean improve it, is if you go here and you look into expenses. So we can look in 24 hours, which gives you a much better breakdown. I can look at all these things and you know, they're great, but ultimately it's mostly components here. So what I want to do is be able to click on that or click on that to expand and see a breakdown of all of the components. That's vastly harder from a user interface programming point of view than you would think. I've set aside 3 days, well 4 days, but I'm out 1 day to do it nicely. Sometimes when I do that, it turns out I've done it in an hour. Sometimes it doesn't. So I think that's the thing that's worth taking the time over. You kind of have another view of all this if you go here and components and produce, consume, stockpile. Well, consumed is what really matters. So we consume an enormous amount of steel, but that's a raw material. You can't cut down the amount of steel you're using. We don't have that level of kind of optimization yet. Maybe we should. Material processing tech. So servos, like we consume an enormous amount of servos, and we don't produce enough. So there is a discrepancy there. And right now, manually, you have to like go in and sort of go, okay, you need to be producing a lot more servos and place down more servo things. Maybe the game should highlight that more. Maybe we should have better advice pop-ups saying you realise you're not producing enough of these. You are producing enough sensors, but you're not producing enough servos. And for example, tyres, look, produced 56, consumed 300. Now it's all very well saying that that's $322. What we want to know is how much we're paying for tyre imports. Because is this something that we need to fix? I mean, in other words, I think that the charts could and the data could be better. Now the problem is, if you ask players of strategy games, what kind of charts and reporting would you like in the game? People go, I want everything, everywhere. I want to be able to put together my own pivot table of stuff. And the trouble with that is that the game can end up being like a user interface mess. It's very easy to do that, and I don't want to do that, and I spend a lot of time in all these sort of things thinking where is the best place, because basically we have this efficiency window, then we have sorry, then we have like all the market and sales related stuff here, and then we have finances. So, and I think that kind of makes sense. So you basically have like a finance department, a kind of sales department, and then you have a production department. And I think that, you know, they're effectively different jobs within the factory, so it makes sense to kind of like split them in that way, I think. Something that I don't really talk about in this game is actually how to play it. Now hopefully, you know, we have a manual in the game. If you click here, you've got like this, you know, sort of effectively offline tutorial. This is the Steam basic how to play guide implemented in the game, even if you don't have Steam. And we have like a little tutorial at the start, and hopefully it's quite self-explanatory and all the rest of it. But what we never talk about is like strategy, right? It's sort of a puzzle game and sort of management game, but it's kind of a strategy game, a kind of like big strategy game. And there are a lot of decisions in this game that are very hard, and they've kind of been made deliberately hard, right? So the layout of this factory, don't just slap these things together randomly. Okay, a lot of effort goes into it. So you'll find that if you have this very helpful, great big long production slot thing, it's only joined onto this one if you also have this. And even though I've been playing this particular map for a long time, I still haven't managed to use all of this. Now what I could do is I could set up a completely self-contained production line, but that probably wouldn't be very efficient there. So what you find in the game is you end up moving a lot of stuff. So this here at the moment is fit body shell, which used to be up here. So I've kind of moved that down here in order to like expand production. So I've now effectively got, what is it, switch to here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I've got like 6 lines here, but the trouble is I've only got room for 4 here, the way I've set it out, which isn't particularly efficient. So I should have staggered these, right? So I should be moving, I should be bunching all of this up. Now, the big decision here, if I'm playing like on this particular map, is does that even make sense? Because this is all quite sparse here. And I'm not using any of this, so really I should move fit body shell down the bottom there. I should move a lot of this stuff down there, so that I'm kind of using all of the space that I'm paying rent for, right? Something else is, I think you can make the body shell, can't you? So I'm importing body shell. Yeah, you can. So I've got 56 million, right? This is silly. So what I should be doing, I should go into fit body frame, make body shell. I should be making these. And really I should keep them pretty close. So what I should do is something like this. Now that importer there is hardly being used, so that's perfect to do that. I've got to think which is which. Oh, I've got to think which is which here. That's import, that's export, so that's fine. So I then need to do this sort of thing in order to export all of that. Is that a fit body shell? Yes, it is. So yeah, I should be doing that. And what I should do then with fit body shell, at the moment it's set to any. What I should do, and I'm going to hold down shift to do it to all of them, is prefer local. So then that should still be prefer local. Yeah. So hopefully I'll be producing loads of these and using loads of them. Now what I could do is I could go into here and I could go, after a while I could go, how many body shells? If you're wondering what this is, I've got a few mods installed just to test someone's game. So I'm consuming 48. I haven't made any body shells yet because we'd have to spin ahead. But if we look at this, 6 minutes 52 in order to build 2 body shells. So it's 3 minutes 28 to actually build one. Fit one is 2 minutes 58, so I'm still not going to be producing enough. Now you can work out the exact ratios, or you can guess it, which is what I do. So I'm going to do that in order to use up as much space. Now if you're thinking how efficient is your layout, there is actually a thing here where it will show you square meters per vehicle per hour. If you really want a challenge, get that down as low as you can, because it's really hard. It's really, that's a really rubbish value. Under 100 is the minimum you should be looking at. So hopefully over time we should see a flow of these things. I should be able to click on that and see stuff go out if it's actually being used, shouldn't I? Or is it not being used? Why is that? Oh, there you go. Yep, it was very quick. There you go. Excellent. I do wonder sometimes actually if it's worth having a thing where you'd be able to click on something and say, like, show me distribution over time. In other words, you know, where does all of this stuff go? And it would be able to draw like arrows to stuff. Oh, I'd love to do all kinds of sort of flow stuff like that. Anyway, what I'm getting at is there are like some big issues, and there are big issues that I've got wrong. This is like my battery production, so this is where the lithium and nickel and cobalt comes in, gets turned into battery cells that go here, that get put into battery modules, that get put into battery packs, that get put into cars. But this is vastly underutilized, really. I'm kind of stuck by the fact that I've got this little bottleneck here, I think, and that I really don't have cars moving fast enough along there. Look at all the breakdowns. See, don't do this. Yeah, I've got very poor maintenance coverage there, so I need to have that in place. But the big problem I have is, actually, when you look at it, the problems I have are vastly later, and it looks like they're here. Like, why is this a slowdown? So this is fitting brakes. It's waiting for resources. So we have like a resource bottleneck here. See, there's so much information that you need playing this game. This is why I think people get really into it. Because when you zoom out, very hard to tell where the problem is. So you could argue that maybe it's here because this bottleneck goes all the way back. Is it really here? For example, wouldn't it be interesting? I'm just like hypothetically, I'm not saying I'm putting this in because, you know, it's hard work. But it might be interesting to have a button that says, like, show me the slot that spends the least time working, the most time with like a yellow icon for something, or the category. You know, kind of show me where my current bottleneck is, maybe. Or would that make it too easy? I think it's here, you know. Fit steering wheel. I think it is, and we haven't really... How are they bypassing? Oh no, hang on, it goes that... What? What's going on? How come they're... Oh, that's fit... I find hitting B very handy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... We've got 7 of these. They cannot be a bottleneck then, right? Or can they? I wonder if what we need to do... I think this is a bottleneck, and I'm going to prove it. So I'm going to extend this a little bit, and then clean this up so I've got a bit more room. So I need more options there. So when right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that, which will empty it, which is a little bit annoying. Is that now connected? Yep. So it'll be alright. So I'm going to do another fit steering wheel, which is in engine. Fit steering wheel, assembly, fit steering wheel. I'm going to do another one there. It won't have all of the upgrades in it yet, so I need to do them. And I've got loads of money, so I'm going to let everything happen there. I'm going to do the predictive thing. So if I spin that on, I should see the flow. The flow through there is fine because there's still a bottleneck there. See, they don't have enough sensors. They don't have enough sensors. I think the problem is, look at this. The nearest importer, look, it's just that. I reckon that'll fix it, right? Because now this should start getting, yes it is, imports from here, as well as things that are being created there. I think that will reduce the amount of needed resources there. Or will it? Can that just not keep up? I think maybe some of these need, they need that upgrade. They need predictive stock control so that they order stuff like slightly quicker. And that's going down now actually, isn't it? So have I kind of fixed that? That little pause there was autosave. I think that's much better. And what I'm trying to get at, right, is what I want to make your job easier as a player. So I want to make sure you have the information that you need. And really, is what insufficient resources enough information? Don't you really need? I don't know. It's interesting. You kind of need a map of resource flow, right? Actually, it's very interesting to know. Like anyone who's playing the game, who watches this, who works in a factory. Like if you work in a real car factory. I've spoken to some people who say that they have a rate, they set a rate and then they make everything work at that rate so you don't get bottlenecks. But you must know where the bottleneck theoretically is, because surely theoretically you want the rate as fast as possible, presuming you can sell the cars. So you must know where that bottleneck is. And how do you work that out? I mean, is there actually a measurement of kind of like idle time each slot in production? The thing about proper factories is they have an enormous buffer, because in production line when we paint the cars, which we do up here, we then dry them by putting them through big fans. Okay, this isn't what really happens. They don't go through a fan for 6 minutes and then they start like putting the seats in. I think a lot of places this is like overnight. So obviously there's this huge like buffer in between of like a whole day's worth of production of cars just having like paint dry, right? We don't do that in the game because I think it would be boring. So it's possibly easier in a real factory to work it out, because you can look at the buffer of like drying cars and go, yeah, that's bigger than normal, or there's hardly any in there. So at least you can tell if your bottleneck is before or after like the paint section. Whereas here we can't. Something is clear. We have major bottlenecks, and it's after this bit. So it's after fitting doors. If you play the game a lot, you'll be hugely jealous at the fact. Oh no, it's fit roof. Where's fit doors? Where's fit doors? Fit door panels. Oh yeah, it is a bit. It is a little bit of a. It is a little bit of a problem actually. Fit door panels is hilariously where things tend to go wrong for people. Anyway, what I'm getting at, ramble, is I'm always interested in ideas for people who are like, you know, like 400 hours into the game or whatever, and saying the thing that drives me mad is that I can't tell this, and I would like to know that. Something that has already been pointed out is that when you go into car designs, it'll tell you here the market value of that is 2029. You have to add all these up if you want to work out what the market value is and how much you're putting on top of that. Okay, so how much you're kind of price gouging. The thing is, there's so little space here. Do I put another thing, market value, there? I could do. Arguably, I could take that features and do it sideways here and clamp that in. But then some feature names are really long. And I know what you're thinking, Cliff, there's all this room at the bottom here. So maybe I can just put that down one and have market value. What do you think? I think I might do that. I think I should do that. Obviously, I'm going to fix this stupid sports car thing. It's very annoying. Anyway, apart from that, what do people think of the expansion pack? I'm always interested to know. Is it too expensive? Is it too cheap? Do you like it? Do you think there's enough stuff in it? Should we do another DLC? I don't think we have enough varieties of what cars look like. What would you think of DLC where we had just new varieties of everything? It's a lot of work, it's a lot of art, but we could do it. I mean, there's loads of different types of van designs, and we only have one. So we'd still keep like small van, and you just go toggle to a different body or something like that. You keep the same wheels. Would you buy that? Would you be interested in that? What do you think? Anyway, this is Production Line by Positech Games. This is one of our regular blog videos talking about the development of the game. If you like it, please like and subscribe. Also, please buy the game. If you've played the game for ages and you just come across this video, then yeah, we have an expansion pack out called Doors That Go Like This, with crazy supercars in that are excellent. Check out the amazing colour options. What would you pick? It used to be classic that you'd get a yellow sports car. Like, if you had a Ferrari, it would be red, but if you wanted something really stupidly expensive, it would be yellow, or it'd be like metallic or something. I think black. Like, you know, Darth Vader wouldn't have a yellow sports car, would he? Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.